Welcome to Veterinary Horizons, the podcast where we explore the future of veterinary medicine one breakthrough at a time. I'm David Martinez, your host and the Vice President of Specialty Veterinary Pharmacy. From Starbucks to animal care, Amy Christensen is transforming how veterinary practices connect with their clients. Her marketing and business strategies are helping clinics grow and better serve their communities.
Instead of being in the comfort of your home, around your pet's bed, their toys, and they can eat. We always say, give them anything they want to eat. Give them pizza, give them Twinkies, give them whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay, spoil them.
Yeah.
And, you can pick a great last day.
Each episode, we'll sit down with leading experts, innovators, and thought leaders from across the veterinary field to discuss cutting-edge technologies, emerging treatments, and the evolving challenges that are reshaping animal health care.
I'm Amy Christensen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and President for Lap of Love Veterinary Hospice and in-home euthanasia, and super excited to be here.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, so one of the first things I want to talk about is you were the Director of Business Operations for Starbucks.
Yes.
I really find that interesting. Talk a little bit about what you did for Starbucks and what are some of the things that you were able to take from that industry and bring into the veterinary industry.
Loved my career at Starbucks, worked there for 14 years and started, just as a district manager running Starbucks stores in Chicago, one of their largest markets. It was the third market they opened. And they didn't even have, Starbucks in any other city other than Portland, Seattle, and Chicago. So this was early days.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Early days,
Yeah, okay.
very young. They had 5 espresso drinks and 3 syrups. So no Frappuccino. All of that was born years and years later. So very entrepreneurial. I think the employees would stand in line to get to work there. So if you wanted to be a barista or you wanted to work in a Starbucks, it was, something people sought after. And probably one of the best things about working there, their culture, Howard Schultz, the founder, changed the industry around benefits. So every employee that worked 20 hours or more got full-time benefits.
Oh, that's huge.
We had a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, and, a lot of people that wanted to work in a Starbucks might have had a dream or a lifetime career to, be in music or be in artistry, but they didn't make any money doing it yet.
Yeah.
So they would work for Starbucks. And that's what I think differentiated the experience. And a lot of people think working at Starbucks is about the coffee. It's really about the experience over coffee and the service. So that's what really correlates to the veterinary industry, right?
Okay.
The service that's provided to you and your pet is similar to someone who's making you your coffee. You come back because of how they treat you and how they make you feel. So that's what I would say translates the most. And most people wouldn't think of it like that. But it's the employees at the end of the day. At Starbucks, they're called partners. That's what Howard said differentiates Starbucks from any other company, is how the partners make you feel when you come in. They know your drink, they know your name, and they anticipate that you're coming in again tomorrow. And it'll be made exactly the way you want it. And that's how the veterinary industry is. You're taking care of people's family members. They're not just pets.
Yeah.
They're sleeping in the bed. They are part of your life. They're your children today. And they know if they have the right veterinarian taking care of them. And especially for Lap of Love, we're helping a family on their last day with their pet have the most peaceful and calm last day they can and have the best goodbye possible. And that's what we care about, is you can have a great last day with your pet and it be in the comfort of your own home. And your dog isn't shaking when you walk into the vet clinic and it's on a sterile table.
Yeah.
So we just really want to have people have memories that they know was a positive memory for their pet's last day, instead of, I never want to go into that clinic again because that's where I had to have my pet leave us.
Yeah, touching up on experience. I mean, I think experience is everything, and family experience is everything. I mean, one of the things at Specialty Veterinary Pharmacy that I learned early on, I had this experience where my young son needed some medication. So we're at the hospital emergency room early in the morning and they write us a prescription. And so I ended up going from pharmacy to pharmacy, trying to find a prescription for my son and couldn't find one that was open, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so I had this kind of epiphany right there. And then I knew, I go, for pet owners, it's got to be super important to get their medication as soon as possible. There's not pet pharmacies on every corner, so they can't just go walk into Walgreens. And so the experience of, first off, you're already dealing with, speaking to Lap of Love, you're dealing with a traumatic situation. Your pet is sick. And now you have to go and worry about, when am I going to get this medication? When am I going to start this therapy? When you create an experience for the customer, I think that they appreciate that, and they continue to come back, or they advocate for your services. And so, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, you're at Starbucks, and what inspired you to say, okay, I'm going to make the transition from Starbucks to the veterinary industry?
I know it doesn't sound very common, but I had a, headhunting recruiting firm call me and say, we'd really love to talk to you about, you're an operations leader. We have a client in the vet industry that needs a really good operator, and we'd like that to be you, and we'd love to talk to you about it. I'm like, I'm not a veterinarian. Why do you need me to come work for a veterinary company? And they said, exactly. We need someone who's good at business, who knows how to help us help our clinics. Because at the time I was interviewing with Banfield, and I worked for Banfield Pet Hospital for 7 years. Loved being in the pet industry. And I love pets.
Yeah.
So I'm not fortunate enough to have kids. My husband and I can't have kids, so our pets are our kids.
Yeah.
And it was really my husband who said, you know what, that job is you. I know you got that phone call 6 months ago. You need to call them back. And so sometimes our spouse sees us differently and knows, how to give us the best advice when we're not able to see the forest through the trees. And he said, that job is who you are as a person.
Yeah.
You need to call them back. And I did. And I loved my career at Starbucks. And people ask me all the time, how could you leave? I'm like, I don't know. That was hard. But sometimes you need another chapter in your life. And it was a great next chapter. And then to be able to come to Lap of Love and be there for people at the end of your pet's life, where no other company's doing that. And it happens every day in a clinic, and most people don't know that. And that's how we get most of our business, is clinics that refer to us to tell their family, maybe you have a 100-pound dog and you can't lift your dog.
Yeah.
It is lethargic. You aren't able to get it in the car. You need another option.
Yeah.
And so that is the majority of the reason. We're an extension of all the other veterinary clinics out there. They might not have an opening today. It's Friday, right? It's 1:00 and they're full for the day. And you come home for lunch and your pet's hurting and it's time.
Yeah.
And they can't get you in. And they say, oh, and we're closed Saturday. We can't get you in until Monday. They would turn you to go to the ER.
Yeah.
And that's not an experience that's usually a positive, like your son, you're panicking.
Yeah,
and
it's a state of
they
just
have us.
franticness. Yeah.
Now, hopefully, we're not in every market. We'd love to be. But we try to help as many clinics as we can. And it's the only thing we do. We do one thing better than anybody else.
I know we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, how the kind of the way I see it, and I'm sure y'all see it the same way, is that, y'all are really a specialists, right?
We are.
Then you have orthopedic specialists, you have oncologists.
End-of-life care specialists.
Yeah, and I think that's really needed, especially when, the veterinary industry is going through, a lot of their professionals are having, fatigue, compassion fatigue. And when you can bring in an expert to handle this part of, end-of-life care, I mean, I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure that, maybe Lap of Love doesn't fit for every single patient, but if you can take some of those patients that this service makes sense, then I feel like, too, you're kind of spreading that fatigue across a broader range, and it's not all focused on just the veterinary staff, but now you're pushing it towards a specialist. Not only that, y'all are trained to also, I'm assuming y'all are trained to deal with this compassion fatigue and stress.
Absolutely. And I would tell you, clinics sometimes need the ability to say, okay, we've already done 3 today. We can't do another one. And referring to us keeps their families with them. So if you're going to a veterinarian, you probably have multiple pets. And the last thing you want your veterinary clinic to say to you is, no, I can't get you in on your pet's last day.
Yeah.
So referring to us, we facilitate the body care. If you want the ashes back, we take your pet to the crematory. You express your wishes, and the ashes can go right back to the clinic. And what we've learned, we've heard many families say, I probably would have never gone back into the clinic if I had done the euthanasia there.
Oh, wow.
Because it's a sad memory for them.
Yeah, and I guess it's the last memory, right? It's the last kind of the last memory. Closing the chapter on.
Right. Instead of being in the comfort of your home, around your pet's bed, their toys, and they can eat. We always say, give them anything they want to eat. Give them pizza, give them Twinkies, give them whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. Spoil them.
Yeah.
And, you can pick a great last day. You don't have to wait till they're in pain and miserable and they're in agony.
Yeah. That's so interesting that you say picking a great last day. I have a cousin of mine who had to put his dog had terminal cancer, and was basically just being treated for pain. They're at the end of life care, and I mentioned this service. I'm like, hey, that you can have a veterinarian come to your home, and then they'll put a blanket down, and then they'll do the procedure, but you get to be at home when that happens.
Right.
And he went with it, and he said he had a great experience. But one of the things I thought was interesting when you mentioned you can pick that last day was he took his dog to the beach, drove him to Galveston.
That's so cool.
And
let him run on the beach.
Spent a day, again, he's in pain, but the dog loved it, Buddy. And, then they brought them back and had the, procedure done. So, I mean, that's really interesting and an amazing story. And I think that's a great opportunity for.
Yeah.
So if a veterinary clinic wants to utilize Lap of Love services, how does that work? How does somebody, start to work with Lap of Love?
Sure. They can just give them our website, lapoflove.com. Anyone could go to the website and you would type in your zip code and it'll pull up if we have a veterinarian in your area.
Okay.
And so, I know being at these conferences that we're at this week, for us, it's about, maybe finding veterinarians that are ready for a new chapter. Like me, Starbucks to this is not all that common, but, sometimes you have more than one love in your life. And I certainly loved coffee and still go there every day for coffee. This morning, walked almost a mile away to get my coffee that I want. And I still get to do something else I love, is helping pets. And so, we know doctors maybe don't graduate from vet school and say, oh, I want to do at-home euthanasia. It's usually, they want to work in ER. They want to work at a clinic and see all kinds of cases. They want to, help puppies, kittens grow. They want to do certain surgical procedures. They're problem solvers. I mean, they're scientists. They've gone to school for 8 years. But maybe later in their life, we're a chapter that fits who they are. Maybe they've got married, they have kids, they want to slow down a little bit. All of our doctors work out of their home. They see maybe 3 appointments, 4 appointments a day because they have to drive.
Yeah.
So, 3, 4 appointments could be a 6-7 hour day by the time they're done.
Yeah.
So even though they're not in a clinic, they feel like they have a little bit more freedom in the framework of their day. They can still pop by the cleaners or pick up something from the drugstore. They're not confined to a clinic, and maybe they need a little flexibility. And so sometimes we're that next chapter. And so we're here to meet veterinarians that might not have thought of Lap of Love, but maybe they will in the future. And it's always about planting seeds. And people come by and say, you know what? I've talked to you guys before, and now I think it's time. I think I'm ready to do this.
Is there a kind of prototypical veterinarian that seeks out Lap of Love? Is there somebody, or is it just veterinarians
Sometimes
from all walks of life?
There are veterinarians in clinics that are known as they're the euthanasia veterinarian. They're the ones that maybe their technician and them are the ones that they know, the rest of the team members know they do well. They enjoy helping a family have that level of peace and helping them through that. So I would tell you a veterinarian I met who works for us in San Antonio.
Okay. Yeah.
And I met her last year at Southwest Vet Symposium.
Oh, really? Okay.
And she told me this story that her husband said, I can't believe you're going to go do this. Do you not know yourself? And she said, because he mentioned to her that she's always broken up after she's done a euthanasia at her clinic.
Okay.
And she said, honey, this is different. She said, first of all, I didn't give the diagnosis. I don't have a long-term relationship with the pet. She's like, I care, but I haven't been treating that pet for 12, 13, 15 years. And when I am with the family and after I've helped their pet have their best last day, I leave with such a sense of peace that that family needed me and I was there for them. So that's why she says it's different and she can do this. She knows that there are families that need this help and she's getting hugged and thanked and sent cards. And so you think they have the compassion fatigue, but the ones that choose this, they know what they're getting into. They've been doing it in a clinic for multiple years before usually coming to work for Lap of Love.
That's an interesting story. I like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm a veterinarian and I decide, maybe Lap of Love might be right for me. What kind of resources and services does Lap of Love provide for a veterinarian that's maybe looking to start this chapter in their life? You know?
And again, you can go to our website and there's all different kinds of information that you can look up for yourself. What is a career like? We do webinars, a day in the life of a veterinarian, that you could just call in, like doing an hour CE online. You can join in and just learn what it's like to be a veterinarian. We're happy to have you talk to veterinarians and ask them the ground truth, like what's it like? What's challenging for you? What did you find satisfying about it? So, we know people need to explore to see if this is the right fit for them. Okay. And they get to, ride along with a veterinarian.
Oh, that's great.
See what a day in the life is like.
That's
doing it in another market. And so we really want this to be a really good cultural fit for us. And it's about, being there for families and knowing that probably as a veterinarian, no one else could have helped them at that time but you. And so I think that makes them feel a sense of pride, and it's special to do this for a living.
Yeah. I think so.
Might not be for everybody, but there are people that come by our booth that say, I refer to you every day because their team is so stressed from doing euthanasia after a puppy kitten. I can feel for a clinic, they have to be a light switch. So they have to see a puppy kitten in one room, then they have to see like a 2-year-old lab, a sick pet, and then someone euthanizing their pet. Then go right back into the puppy kitten room, and they have to manage their emotions properly in front of those families. That takes a lot of skill.
Clinics that are using Lap of Love, are you seeing them utilize Lap of Love in that way? Or is it a mixed bag? Or are there people really saying, this is a great opportunity for us to, focus on
other things?
Yeah. And let the experts handle that part? Or again, is it just mixed? Or
we had a veterinary company, I believe they're based out of California. It's called Cara Veterinary. And she stood up at a conference we were at called Vet Forum. And she said her team did so many euthanasias over the holidays that she's never doing them again. And she's always referring to Lap of Love. For that reason, the fatigue on her team was high. And she said, we really feel like our best is being there for, the young life of a pet's needing, advanced surgeries or other kinds of ailments. And we're going to leave the euthanasia to be the best experience and have Lap of Love do that. And it then opens up appointments for them to take in sick pets that nobody else can diagnose what's wrong with them. They're going to need x-rays. They need blood work. They need all kinds of things that they're equipped to do.
Yeah.
And can do so much good helping a sick pet that they feel good about referring to us, and their families come back and tell them that was the best decision I ever made. was thank you for introducing me to Lap of Love. And it's really, that's how we get introduced. It's because a clinic trusts us. So that's what I say to when doctors come by our booth and say, oh, we refer to you so often. I say thank you for trusting us with your families and those pets that you see every month. You know, we see their family maybe once every 10 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're not, it's not a recurring family for us. It's a recurring family for that clinic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they can't be there, we are going to give them, world-class service and the best experience possible.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. Lap of Love, great company. Go check them out. Last question I have for you. What's on the veterinary horizon for you? What do you got coming up that's new? Or anything specific you want to plug that y'all got going on, whether it's at Lap of Love, you personally?
I would say I've had a very, very fortunate career, going from oil industry to Starbucks to I did physical therapy, human medicine, and came back probably my last years of working back into the vet space. And it's where I just feel like I fit.
Okay.
And so this is probably my last stop in my career is doing this. And you just feel like at the end of your career, you can make choices that fit your values as a person.
Yeah.
And helping people with pets have the best goodbye kind of does it for me. And it just fills my bucket.
That's great. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
on.
David.
I really appreciate it. This was a
Wonderful.
great talk. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.